An investment firm linked to a top Chinese university is preparing a bid for Micron Technology. A person familiar with the matter says the offer would be for $23 billion. That's $21 a share. Shares are surging. The deal would be the largest takeover of a foreign firm by a Chinese company, and it could raise some national security concerns. Bloomberg Media editor-at-large Cory Johnson is here in New York. Bloomberg correspondent Jordan Robertson is in Washington. We will start with you. Jordan, help us understand what this company is that is making the offer. Tsinghua is attached to a university?
Sure, attached to a university, and Micron is one of the biggest makers of memory chips. Memory chips that are inside our personal computers, inside servers, inside smartphones now. And the real significance of this deal is that semiconductor technology is generally, kind of an unsexy part of the tech industry, but it's also some of the hardest science in technology. It's really hard to develop advanced semiconductor technology, and China, with this deal, kind of wants a piece of that. This would help greatly accelerate their semiconductor development. And there's potential for controversy here as well, because there are some pretty strict restrictions in the U.S. on exporting a lot of this kind of technology.
Jordan, you and I have both been using China as a shorthand for the purchaser in this deal. Is that right? Is Tsinghua University purchasing this company, or Micron, or is it just China? Is this a business purchase or a strategic acquisition for a country?
When it comes to China, I mean, sometimes it's it's useful to to recognize the connections between, especially universities, companies that receive state funding. At the end of the day, what would happen if this deal went through is that the country, of China, would receive a tremendous benefit in terms of its semiconductor development. It takes many, many years, if not decades, to produce these kinds of technologies. And memory chips are not even, the most advanced types of semiconductors. Those are the microprocessors that Intel and others make. But still, strategically, this would be significant for China.
Well, bingo. To his point, this is memory, right? This is not the sort of smartest chips in the stack, the kind of things that Intel makes, the kind of things that AMD makes, the kind of things that ARM licenses the technology to make. This is sort of the dumbest of the chips out there. And for that reason, there might be some hope that this deal, which is generally looked at already as dead on arrival, might have some hope. It's also a business, interestingly, when you look under the covers, it's actually doing quite well. They've made a number of investments. Their main focus now is on that NAND memory, and it's now, I think it was 43% of sales last year. They did some strategic acquisitions to give them sort of top flight manufacturing capacities so they can pump this stuff out. But I think the kinds of chips that these are going to, a smart review of this might reveal that the competitive pressures, the international competitive issues, maybe are not as great as they might be if this were an Intel or this were an AMD or something like this.
Help me understand what's going on in this market. I took a look at the numbers this morning. It's pretty concentrated. Samsung has 40% of it. Icon, which we're talking about, Micron, excuse me, has 26%. SK Hynix has 26% as well. Margins are down. Costs are up. Why is this market so concentrated?
Actually, the operating profit margins for this business from Micron, interestingly, have gotten a lot better over time. I was somewhat surprised when I looked at it this morning as well. The EBITDA margins, if you look at last year, at 31.7%, and rapidly increasing as they've refocused their business and done some smart acquisitions that seem to be working out. Now, they're facing a very tough industry. Falling PC sales are hurting them dramatically. And indeed, we're going to find out a lot more about that tomorrow when Intel reports. But we've gotten some clues. We had the pre-announcement from Seagate yesterday. We've had some bad news from the data center. But generally speaking, in this business, it has traditionally been a pretty crummy business, very dependent on the cycles in the PC business. And so for that reason, you see these concentrations around people who can sort of build up a business to sustain those bad times that surely come in this industry. But I think this deal isn't completely dead because of what they do, not just of where they do it.
Well, let's pick that up with Jordan Robinson. From where you're sitting, can you handicap the likelihood that this deal will actually be approved in the U.S.?
Yeah, I agree with Cory on that. I mean, if a Chinese-based firm or university were trying to buy an Intel or a company that makes advanced microprocessors, no way that would ever happen. Memory chips, this is an industry, it's much more likely to happen, especially because the industry has gone through so much consolidation in the past decade. We'd seen falling sales, falling margins, but at the end of the day, it's still a very essential technology. Every computer needs a memory capability. And, we're not talking about the top level level science in the industry. So there's a realistic shot that this goes through. The security concerns are probably going to be a lot lower on this than they would be for other elements of the semiconductor industry.
Really quick, the expertise that Micron has is about improving yields and getting their machines to work best, not necessarily putting the most transistors on the smallest chip.